On Sunday, November 5th of this year, I will be at DebateCon 4. I actually have 2 debates scheduled, one with Destiny, one with somebody called CSP Cypher. Links to get your tickets are in the description of this video. Come out, see me, meet me, have a great time. So first things first, I need to start off this video properly by telling you my position on this whole get woke, go broke thing, and that is, it's not really a thing. It's not actually something that happens because the overwhelming majority of companies are getting woke and most of them are doing perfectly fine. I don't believe in it. I don't buy into it. I try not to push it on this channel. However, there are individual instances, individual companies, individual brands that are so polar opposite to the woke agenda that it's actually destructive to that brand to go in that direction. And that is actually what has happened here with Victoria's Secret, because it's recently come out that they're now ditching their woke feminist agenda and trying to go back to sexiness, because it turns out that drove down sales dramatically, and the company is in a complete panic and trying to avert this death spiral. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. So if you guys aren't aware, which I wasn't because I don't shop at women's lingerie shops, over the past couple of years, Victoria's Secret has completely changed their branding in order to align with modern progressive values. And this is not just them turning their logo the LGBT color in the month of June. It actually goes much, much further than that. I didn't know this, but apparently they got rid of the Victoria's Secret Angel, something that is iconic and tied to their brand, and they started adding in women that you wouldn't find particularly attractive if you're a heterosexual male, like Megan Rapinoe, the US soccer player who constantly complains that she doesn't get paid enough money and that there's all this sex discrimination, even though all of the evidence shows the contrary. And in fact, she's probably overpaid based on what the women's soccer team actually produces, and they negotiated a contract that doesn't have as much risk, therefore not as much reward as on the men's side. So you have her as somebody that is now a representative of Victoria's Secret, as well as overweight women you wouldn't typically find attractive or believe should be models. And by the way, as somebody who was actually in a mall recently, this is even down to their mannequins. For whatever reason, Victoria's Secret has overweight sized mannequins in their stores, which to me is kind of ridiculous and absurd, but that was the direction they wanted to go with. But of course, getting rid of the angels and going in this direction also meant that they had to trash the previous direction of their company that led to them being so successful. And this is probably one of the most crucial things that Victoria's Secret did wrong, because what they ultimately ended up doing was destroying their brand based on this false idea that people need to see all different types of body types represented everywhere with every brand, because it turns out that was not Victoria's Secret's brand. Now we're going to go to this New York Post article so I can read a little bit more from it, because they cover a bit more of this transition, because it is quite telling. Quote, since the brand decided to move away from its quote-unquote hypersexualized image, as businessoffashion.com described it in a recent article, Victoria's Secret has seen a significant revenue drop. As such, it has a look to revamp itself and bring back sexiness, the outlet noted, in a piece that was also published by the editorial partner CNN on Tuesday. Kathleen Chen, no relation to Lauren Chen, or is there, reported that the brand's efforts to promote inclusivity, which included making LGBTQ pro-women soccer player and outspoken leftist Megan Rapinoe, as well as a transgender woman as spokesmodels, and getting rid of its famous angel supermodels, gained favorable reviews from online critics, but never translated into sales. According to the numbers, the lingerie brand has projected revenue for 2023 is $6.2 billion, which is 5% lower than it was last year, and even lower than 2020 when the brand's revenue was $7.5 billion. Now, by the way, I just want to point out really quickly that this isn't something that just came out of nowhere because Victoria's Secret wanted to go in a woke direction. You see, Rihanna actually dropped a line, and by the way, thank you to my fiance for letting me know that this is an aspect of this story called Savage X Fenty, which essentially did this ultra inclusive lingerie line, which sells their products and has had a great success. So Victoria's Secret thought that they were going to move in that direction, snatch up Rihanna's customers from her line, and keep their current customer base because they believed that this would be a successful strategy, as it has been successful for Rihanna. But the thing is, this was a total misread of the market, because it turns out Rihanna's Savage X Fenty initially, or maybe she had another company that initially started to try to compete directly with Victoria's Secret, have the same types of models and all that in order to get that same base, but she got decimated in the market because Victoria's Secret and other companies were better established, and only then did she try this alternative marketing strategy which allowed her to be successful. But the thing is, if Victoria's Secret holding that lane that they were in was what prevented Rihanna's brand from going into that lane, so she goes into this other lane, Victoria's Secret can't just shift into that lane. Also, and this is incredibly crucial, one of the reasons why Rihanna actually had a lot of goodwill when she made this shift is it was actually more in line with her beauty brand, which sought to offer broader varieties of color palettes because she felt like the different shades of black and brown in the United States market were not being covered by foundations and makeup, etc. So it made sense, if she's already producing kind of this alternative makeup brand, for her to do an alternative, inclusive, whatever kind of modeling brand, because she already had a fan base of diehards in this one direction that would probably follow her into this other direction as long as they were aligned in purpose and in marketplace. So it made perfect sense for her to go in that direction. However, Victoria's Secret had something special. They had something unique, and this can kind of be distilled, explained, expressed in the fact that they once had Michael Bay direct a Victoria's Secret commercial, which I want to play for you because it's the most Michael Bay thing of all time. I mean, come on. If you're somebody who has seen, I don't know, one Michael Bay movie, you could notice all of the Michael Bay movie things in this commercial, which is only about a minute long. First and foremost, you have a low angle shots out the wazoo. You have the color palette, super dynamic shots, and all that. Fancy cars, there's even a helicopter in the background, but you also have women bending over in the most sexual position humanly possible in order to do an ordinary task that definitely in no way, shape, or form makes it easier to do that ordinary task. And also, there's explosions. Wait a minute. You guys haven't seen the explosion yet. Let me play you the part where the explosion is. I mean, come on, this is A+ Michael Bay filmmaking right here on display for a Victoria's Secret commercial, and if you thought I skipped one of his major things that are in all of his movies, yes, there is in fact a shot of these attractive women in front of a sunset. Maybe I made this whole entire video in order to show you this, or maybe I'm trying to express a point that is often lost by the woke left, by people who are obsessed with representation, seeing yourself on screen, and that is the idea of aspiration. The reason why Victoria's Secret was so successful is not because people needed to see themselves as Victoria's Secret models, because in reality, the percentage of women who look like this, who are 5'10", is extraordinarily low. But the thing is, Victoria's Secret had an identity as something of a prestige brand. That was the brand that attractive women shopped at. I mean, it's called Victoria's Secret, which even invokes a little bit of intrigue. So for the overwhelming majority of people, for the people shopping at this store, for the people buying their products online, it wasn't about them actually looking like the people who are on screen, because I got news for you, these girls work extraordinarily hard just to get into that level of shape, to walk the runway, to be in these commercials. And in magazines, they're airbrushed to hell. So a lot of them all the time don't actually look like the women that you're seeing on screen. But it was the idea that this is what the pretty girls wear. This is what the sexy girls wear. So if I buy that product, I will be sexy. I will be pretty. I'm in the club. It's kind of like the way that Bill Maher describes a Jay-Z rap song, which I don't know anything about music, so feel free to dispute everything that I'm saying in the comments. But essentially, Bill talks about how Jay-Z raps about being in an exclusive club and how all the normie plebs or whatever aren't let in, and it's only him and the absolute top people that are in the VIP section. But for whatever reason, even though you out there listening to the song would be somebody who would not be allowed in that section with Jay-Z, in fact, Jay-Z and his wife Beyonce would probably spit on you for being a normal person because that's how they view normal people. For whatever reason, when people listen to that song, they project themselves into that place because, again, it's aspirational. It's not about being reflective of reality. It's an escape from reality. That's one of the reasons why we look into entertainment and whatnot. When Victoria's Secret decided to hire fat girls, when they decided to hire people like Megan Rapinoe, I can't even pronounce her name right, please go ahead, correct me in the comments like I give a damn. When they decided to hire transgender models, what they ended up doing was changing the perception of their brand from this is something that's going to make me look sexy because those women are in fact sexy to that's the brand for fat girls. That's the brand for this category of person, which is not something that I aspire to be. I got news for you. While there might be a lot of women that aspire to be as successful as an athlete, maybe not complain as much, but to be as successful as an athlete as Megan Rapinoe, none of them want to look like her. None of them want to appeal to men like her, and none of them want to wear the same lingerie as her, and Victoria's Secret is a lingerie brand. Lingerie is supposed to make you feel more attractive. It's supposed to make you look more attractive. It's supposed to be something that gets mostly heterosexual men, although there are some lesers that probably definitely like lingerie, interested in you. And the fact of the matter is, Victoria's Secret surrendered that. Victoria's Secret turned their back on that. They turned their back on the Michael Bay kind of commercials to be ordinary, to be uninteresting, unexciting. So when people look at their underwear, when people look at their lingerie, when people look at their bras, on average to below average attractive people, they don't feel like them putting that on will transform them into an attractive person. This is like what happened in the original Star Wars prequels. And by the way, I know that a lot of you on the younger side are going to defend the Star Wars prequels, but you're wrong, but it's okay. But relax, this isn't actually about the movies as a whole and how we disagree on them, but the fact that they had these little Jedis, these little kids in the movie, and the reason for them being in the movie is because George Lucas and the folks over at Lucasfilm believed that kids would be more interested in the movie if they saw kids as Jedis. But the thing is, and this wasn't just pointed out by me, this was pointed out by the very famous Red Letter Media review, children don't work like that. When you're a kid and you're playing Star Wars, you don't want to be one of these stupid kids with the dumb helmet that are doing the lightsaber thing back and forth. You want to be Han Solo. You might want to be Princess Leia if you're a girl. You might want to be Lando. You might want to be Luke Skywalker or even Darth Vader or even the Emperor, because your imagination and your ability to project yourself into a story onto different characters to live vicariously through them or aspire to be them goes beyond the rudimentary, that person looks just like me, therefore that's the person I am in the story. It's a very low IQ maneuver by Victoria's Secret, and the fact that they just threw out one of the key things associated with their brand. I don't know anything about Victoria's Secret other than they sell women's underwear, women's bras, and whatnot, but I do know of the existence of the Angels. And by the way, I got news for you out there. If you are one of those ladies that are like, oh my god, the women in the Victoria's Secret thing, they're so attractive, I could never live up to that. You don't have to, because I got news for you. I got some scientific theories for you that I need to put forward that will correct your misperceptions out there to all you women. Models are actually not that attractive. I know, call me crazy, call me a conspiracy theorist, but here's the thing, you gotta hear me out. A lot of models have beautiful features. They look great, they're attractive women, sure, whatever, I'm not saying anything, but actresses tend to be more attractive. And the reason why is because models tend to be more cookie cutter than actresses, and actresses tend to have an imperfect feature on their face, and it's almost like the perfect imperfection. Models are too cookie cutter by comparison because they're hired based only on their looks. Therefore, actresses are more attractive than models. Therefore, a slight flaw, a deviation, something outside the norm that makes you unique, that separates your face. And by the way, we're talking about face here because we're high IQ individuals, actually makes your face unique, and that uniqueness makes you more attractive in the face than these cookie cutter types. So I'm not throwing any shade at the Victoria's Secret Angels, but I'm just saying, all you ladies out there, it's not that interesting to me. I am the arbiter of all men. I am the ambassador of all men for this video, and I can speak for all of us when I say you don't actually have to do all the crazy stuff in these Michael Bay movies for men to want to be attracted to you. In fact, you don't even have to look that decent at all for men somewhere out there to want to be attractive to you. You know, you see those videos of people of Walmart or the photos or whatever, and you see the overweight woman on the scooter, and what does that overweight woman on the scooter always have with her, no matter what? And I know I'm not the first person to come up with this. 3 kids. So some guy out there somewhere is not only putting in the work with that lady, he not only probably put a ring on that lady, but he actually made future humans with that lady. So ladies, relax. You don't have to be, if you're one of these very few people, unconfident because you see a Victoria's Secret model, because nobody's actually expecting you to look like that. Do not listen to the internet.com that tells you every beautiful woman is somehow mid or average or below average or whatever. That's crazy talk. That's insanity. Let us have the Victoria's Secret models. You could aspire to feel the way that you see those women are in terms of attraction, but you don't actually have to be a 5'10", big chested with your cookie cutter face that is attractive. I'm not saying anything, but it doesn't have that perfect imperfection. So yeah, overall, while getting woke and going broke is not actually a thing, it's a phrase that people say to get over the fact that they're losing in the culture war to the left wing. Spoiler alert, they are still winning in the culture war. There are certain companies, there are certain brands that are so antithetical to wokeness, to the diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda, that when you go in that direction, you completely miss out on everything. And by the way, I didn't mention at all at this point in time Victoria's Secret doing that fashion walk with the disabled women or anything like that. I actually think that that could be nice and wholesome. They're not actually saying that those disableds are the replacement for the angels. We're more talking about the people with issues with their body, or the people who are not something that you want to aspire to, not people who are disabled through no fault of their own. So I'm not throwing shade at that fashion show. I actually think they could have done that under the old brand of Victoria's Secret. I'm talking about the overweight women, we need to make them look as average as possible. If the woman looks like she has a dog face, then that's all the better, because we want people to feel as lowly and as disgusting when they buy our clothes as they feel after they do the thing that they buy our clothes for. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. But I want to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show me by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on my social medias. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Victoria's Secret. Till next time.